We are coming up on the release of one of the more anticipated games of 2021 thus far in Biomutant, and there has been a little bit of uncertainty regarding on how the game would be running on next generation consoles versus current generation consoles, well, depending on how you want to define each, how it's going to run on the PlayStation 5 versus the PlayStation 4. Obviously, the game is seeing a release on the PlayStation 4, it's not seeing a native release on the PlayStation 5, but it is seeing some upgrades on the PlayStation 5, and we'll talk about that. No Man's Sky Beachhead Expedition is adding a ship that you guys are going to be all too familiar with, the Normandy SR1 from Mass Effect. We'll talk about that, and Shadow Warriors 3 has gotten a brand new trailer, and by the way, that has been confirmed for PlayStation 4, so we'll talk that at the end of this video. But first up, Biomutant is dropping on May 25th, just a few days away from the release of that, coming from publisher THQ Nordic and developer Experiment 101, and they have released a new unedited gameplay of the title running on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One performance, and also running on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Now, Xbox Series X will be running the game in native 4K resolution at 60 frames per second with dynamic resolution. On the PlayStation 5, on the other hand, it'll be running in native 1080p resolution at 60 frames per second, upscaled to 4K at 60 frames per second with dynamic resolution. The key point of contention for me was the game is running at 60 frames per second. That is ideally what I want to see out of all of the games that are coming out on the PlayStation 4, that they are upgraded for 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5. Games like Horizon haven't been upgraded yet. I'm sure that'll get an upgrade as we get closer to the release of Forbidden West, but it is a little bit of a bummer that some of these games are not getting upgraded right out the gate. So excited that Biomutant is seeing an upgrade right out the gate to 60 frames per second. Not really an upgrade, really what's happening is the limiters have been removed, but hey, if you can remove some limiters, get it to 60 frames per second, that's more than enough for me. That is my key point of contention going forward. Look, if people want 4K ray tracing with 30 FPS, make a setting for that. For me, going forward, I want all my games at 60 frames per second. It's been way too long playing games at 30 frames per second. I feel like we've gotten to a point where games should at least give you the option all across the board to be played at 60 FPS. I can give you a pass if you're still a PlayStation 4 game and you just didn't upgrade it for whatever reason, but if it's going to be a game that has a PS5 release, 60 FPS is a mandatory option at the very least. A game like Scarlet Nexus, apparently that's going to be running at 4K 60 FPS, so hell yes, PlayStation 5 release on that all day long. And then, of course, with releases like Ratchet & Clank, FF7 Remake, Intergrade, we're going to have options for that as well, so that's very exciting. And even if you're playing it on the PlayStation 4, I believe it's 1080p 30, so it still should be running relatively decently, akin to the performance that you've been getting on the PlayStation 4 all generation long. But if you do have a PlayStation 5 and you're planning on picking up Biomutant, you will be able to play the game at 60 frames per second, so that's quite nice. The game is seemingly building up quite a bit of hype leading into its release. A lot of preview videos are coming out, and it seems like there is this, coming together of excitement for the game. Let's see how it turns out, but I have a feeling that Experiment 101 is going to deliver on this game. Just because they weren't bullish on getting the game out way too early, they delayed the game. Not necessarily delayed the game, they just kind of, didn't announce the release date, and they were like, it'll be ready when it's ready. And remember, this is their first game out of the gate as a brand new studio, and they want to deliver a quality first impression. And based on the gameplay that I've been seeing, the game is shaping up quite nicely. We're going to have multiple endings. It looks like there's going to be a sizable amount of content. And if you're talking about a game to drop $60 on, I'm not going to advocate that often for the normal consumer to drop $60 on every game, but Biomutant looks like one that there is going to be a good bit of longevity to it, so that's going to be quite nice. Again, the game is out May 25th, and we'll be seeing a nice PS5, a limiter removal, 60 FPS, 1080p, upscale to 4K. Next up, No Man's Sky is getting yet another update. Beachhead Expedition adds Normandy SR1 from Mass Effect. How about a crossover about that? Players have until May 31st to pick it up. No Man's Sky has added the Normandy SR1 from Mass Effect series as a part of its Beachhead Expedition. Developer Hello Games announced all players have until May 31st to undertake the expedition and add the ship to their frigate fleet. The message from Hello Games reads this. This is a lovely little Easter egg moment and something hopefully no one was expecting. We are thrilled and flattered that BioWare and EA let us pay tribute in this way. As huge fans of the series, it's a lovely moment for sci-fi fans like everyone else. We've been rediscovering the amazing universe of Mass Effect through the release of the Legendary Edition. I still have chills every time I see this incredibly iconic ship warping in, and was delighted to see so many people have the same reaction. All players now have until May 31st to undertake this expedition for themselves if they wish to ultimately definitely add the SSV Normandy SR1 to their frigate fleet for good, as this is our 5th year anniversary. We have some other surprises up our sleeves with more information coming very soon. Very cool to see the, crossovers that No Man's Sky is now doing. Do you think in 2016 a lot of games would have wanted to be associated with No Man's Sky, but now you got one of the biggest IPs in all of gaming, one that just saw a major release in the Legendary Edition, showcasing itself in No Man's Sky? Kind of incredible to see the turnaround No Man's Sky has made. I saw a comment a while ago, somebody asked, has No Man's Sky made a turnaround at the level of Final Fantasy XIV or something to that extent? I wouldn't say that No Man's Sky made quite that turnaround, but man, it's pretty darn close. No Man's Sky was at a sad state back in 2016, and bear in mind, I picked the game up launch day on PC, and it was an abomination. It was a train wreck. I cannot add any more superlatives to really explain the train wreck nature that No Man's Sky was. And is the game perfect right now? No, there are still issues with the game, and it might not be for everyone. However, it is a game that now you can pick up for like $30 versus the initial $60 price tag, and comparing the two experiences from now, going back to 2016, absolute night and day. So it's cool to see how far they've come, and now you can check out the Normandy SR1 in the game. Lastly, I do want to note Shadow Warrior 3 has gotten a brand new trailer noted to be the Weapon Showcase trailer, showcasing a lot of the gameplay and the weapons from Shadow Warrior 3. This looks to be as high-octane, as fast-paced as the previous Shadow Warrior games as we probably were to expect. I think it's going to be a little bit more over-the-top than even Shadow Warrior 2, and Shadow Warrior 2 is pretty zany in its own right. Excited to see Shadow Warrior 3 come out, and now we do know that outside of its PC release, it will be coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One as well, but excited to see it released on PlayStation 4, and hopefully with this one we also see some upgrades on PlayStation 5. That remains to be seen, but hey, Shadow Warrior has always ran pretty well, so excited for Shadow Warrior 3, and that is due out sometime in 2021. I would imagine sometime in the latter portion of the year. That's gonna wrap up this one. Again, Biomutant running in native 1080p 60 FPS, upscaled to 4K at 60 FPS on PlayStation 5. No Man's Sky adds the Normandy SR1 from Mass Effect, and Shadow Warrior 3 has gotten a brand new trailer. That's gonna wrap up this one. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.